Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we have a truly special guest joining us, Valerie, a brilliant mind with 7 years of experience in the VFX field, mostly in mobile gaming, and since 6 years she's been in the same company. Right now she works as a lead VFX artist, and we're diving deep into like the world of mobile VFX and what that means and all the challenges and surprises that comes with it. And also like the advantages of working in that environment. And we're gonna go like through the mind of like the mobile VFX artist. This is gonna be a long one, around 2 hours or so. So grab a drink, grab a snack. You'll have a good time. I hope you enjoyed. Hello everyone. Today I have a special guest, Valerie. How's it going today?
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So yeah, tell the viewers, the listeners, who you are and what do you do.
So my name is Valerie. For the past 7 years, I've been working in the VFX field in mobile gaming, and for the past 6 years, I've been working in the same company on the same project. So that might be interesting as well. And currently, I'm in a position of VFX lead artist.
Okay, you touched upon a lot of topics there, such as mobile and lead VFX. So I will start with the lead VFX. What would you think the difference is between a lead VFX artist and I don't know, normal vanilla VFX artist?
So it's an interesting question, since the answer to that, I believe, can be different considering in which time, in which state of the industry you are asking that question. Since for the last couple of years, I believe that difference between senior VFX artist and lead VFX artist in mobile gaming, at least, is almost non-existent, really. Since it is expected of you as a leader that you should be just as good in leading the team, in giving your feedback, and in creating effects by hand. So when you usually think of a difference between senior and lead, it's not like you have a privilege of this difference anymore. We'll see if things change in the future, but for now, it's like this. At least in mobile gaming industry, since I'm in no position to give commentary on main industry of games, of console games, PC games, and anything like that.
Yeah. So let's talk about mobile games then. And VFX artists who work on mobile games. Do you think that VFX artists in mobile games like diminish themselves and them skills?
I believe so. Unfortunately, yes. So as I've said already, there is really a difference between those two industries. I believe it can be shown in the work processes. It can be shown in the speed with which you are expected to work. So it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just how it is, basically. So when you are working in mobile industry, your effects probably will be much simpler than you would expect of your position as a VFX artist in like PC games or console games or something like that. For example, in my company, since we work in proprietary engine, it's a lot. It has its pros and cons, I guess, but even that gives you only a certain amount of features which you could use. So VFX in our company, at least in mobile gaming, are heavily sorry, just missing a word here. It's heavily implied that you rely on particle systems mostly. So you have little to no meshes, little to no shaders, which you could quickly construct from like a graph in Unity or like an Unreal Engine. Basically, you have only 2 dimensions, mostly because 3D effects are not as useful in mobile gaming when you work with simpler layers, like in Photoshop. They are almost flat. So you have like basic sorting, and then with that you can make an illusion of volume, an illusion of 3D shape.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you don't really have nor the time nor the opportunity to implement like meshes, like complex shaders, or anything like that.
yeah.
And since you don't have practice in those fields, since
Yeah,
you have much simpler instrument, you could feel alienated from all the cool features which are present in Unreal Engine or Unity.
true.
And for some artists, I believe that could be a problem.
Mm,
And that could be the reason when why they're feeling like they're lesser of an artist, lesser of a VFX artist than people who work in made VFX
yeah.
industry. And that's really saddens me a lot
Mm,
because I strongly believe that even if you have less of tools, you can really try and make more with them. So you
mm-hmm.
can,
So the
uh,
way I view it is like,
yeah.
do you see those like football players, like the professional ones? Do you see how they train? Have you ever watched that?
I'm not sure, but if you walk me through that,
Yeah,
yeah, I
sure.
can imagine.
So, you know, normally you would have a huge field, a normal size ball, and the
Mhm,
goal is also big, right? The way they train football players, soccer players, is that they make the goal way smaller and they make the
mhm,
ball way smaller. So they limit themselves that they get used to a worse, like a limited version of the game. Once they master that, going to the actual field becomes easier because now they're adding feature to their training. So it becomes easier. So I think the way I view it is limitations can even enhance you in that sense that you have to think so much out of the box. And I don't think it's a bad thing, meaning that you're not, you know, playing with the more advanced tools. It's kind of sad that people feel like that, but I wanted to ask you, what is the solution in your eyes? Do they have to like change the way they think about it, or do you think it's an industry issue?
Well, it's not like they have to do anything with it if they are not willing to change the situation. For a lot of people, I think it depends on why do you work in that sphere.
Yeah.
Like for some people, it could be money. For
Mm-hmm.
some people, it could be stability. So,
Sure.
like for some people, having simpler tasks is a pro and not a minus at all.
Mm.
Uh, but if we talk about people who are worried if they are enough, even if they work with simpler tasks, I think that what would help them is treating even those simple tasks, your basic routine, with care. So if you find it in yourself to love what you do, to love your routine, to find joy in it, maybe it would be much easier for you to find some little twists in your tasks, which are they may repeat over and over again.
Yeah.
You may be asked to do same highlight on a button like over and over again.
Yeah.
But if you treat it like something which you can make interesting for yourself, then maybe that could help you to grow,
Mm.
even if you are working on the simple tasks. Of course, if it's not enough for you, still you could always have some pet projects. You could always make some greater, bigger, flasher effects for your portfolio only. Not like to switch jobs immediately, but to have something to look at and like be proud
Mm.
that you made it.
Honestly, like, there's also this other aspect of it. If every real-time VFX artist ever existed is learning real-time VFX in Unreal, then the opportunities for mobile game in Unity or in other engines are higher. Because if everybody is trained on the advanced tools, simpler tools becomes um, not only harder to learn, but it would be it would require skills to take those simple tools and make something special with it. So I feel that it should be a sense of pride, even that you're playing those maybe complex looking effects with on like a smaller device. It's a challenge on its own. I'll give you an example. So one of the things when I started learning VFX, I started learning with Unreal like anybody else. I still do learn in Unreal. But when I started being serious about like job applications and things like that, I started going into like a niche. Like I went to Unity and I didn't learn the shuriken. I learned the VFX graph.
Mhm.
It's not a tool that is used as much. It uses the GPU, so it's basically the opposite of mobiles in a way. But I felt like that is so underutilized, and there will be that one project that needs a lot of draw calls, like a lot of effects all at once at the moment. I was lucky enough to like land a job in like 2 months after learning VFX graph. So I guess the idea here is don't only learn like the cool advanced tools, but see also like take a look at the market if you really like want to position yourself and your skills, and see where there's a lot of competition and where there's not as much competition, and like try to learn that skill or that engine, right? Like Godot, I think is an area not a lot of people are touching upon. So if anybody's listening to this, they feel like they're stuck. Where do you advise them to get themselves into like mobile games VFX? Where can they start, do you think?
Basically, I think it's similar to the process of finding a job in any other field. So you could establish for yourself which style of VFX you would
Cool.
like to work with,
Yeah.
and get some practice and
But how?
make. Um, if we are talking about
Mobile.
proprietary engine and mobile especially,
Yeah.
I don't think it's really necessary to dwell on that. That, oh, I don't know the proprietary engine of the company, which I would love to work on. It's no problem really, because if you're hired, you will have the time to learn this.
True.
They all understand that you will need some onboarding time, that you will need to know the UI, the tool basically, which they only have and nobody else does. So it's not really important which tool you are using for your practice. It's important of which result you're getting. So if the style is compatible with the game that you would love to work in, if optimization is there. So, and by the way, optimization is secondary. So I think you've discussed this with some of your guests already, but every technical stuff can be taught on the job.
Yeah.
And if you have the vision of how you could stylize your effects, of how could you could convey the story, how you can support the narrative of the game, that are much more valuable skills for you to land a job. And if you can put in effort and practice in that, you better do that first, and everything else will be fine.
But here's the thing, like how do you balance the storytelling factor, the visual effect, like the quality of the visual with like the optimization? Like does perfectionism here play a role?
I guess to a certain extent, yes. But since we are, again, talking about the proprietary engine, a lot of features which could lead to overuse of particles, for example,
Yeah.
for overuse of memory, for which can cause your effects to be too heavy for certain low devices,
Yeah.
are removed from these tools already. So it's not like there is a trap for you that you will walk in just trying to make your effect better and better with proprietary engines, because they are much simpler usually than Unreal or Unity. So even if you are used to making some flash effects with a lot of cool features in basic engines, that would not be possible for you without coding, without writing yourself a new tool, basically, in a proprietary engine. So it's not like the problem. The team of specialists, of technical directors, of like programmers, they have already took care of that. So you don't need to really worry too much about this.
Just a quick pause to say how much I appreciate you tuning in. If you're enjoying this deep conversation, I would encourage you to take a moment and, hit that like button and the subscribe button as well. Ring the bell so you don't miss any future episode. And, if you have time, join the Discord. And if you have any friends that would enjoy that content, please do share with them. This will help a lot growing this podcast and supporting me doing what I'm doing. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, so let's assume that one listener or one viewer of this episode is wondering where they can start to learn that engine. Where would you tell them to go?
So it's not, again, it's not about the engine specifically, because unfortunately, I don't believe that you can find it in open source anywhere. You should get the job and then you could touch the engine. I believe that's true not for my company only, but for a lot of companies who use proprietary tools. But since they all rely on the same logic of particle systems, basically, it's not a big problem if you try to learn Unity or Unreal.
Exactly.
They all rely on the same logic. So if you are able to make it feel good, to make it look nice, if you can make decisions based on the context of the scene, the context of the art style, it's already a lot, and it would help you greatly. Yeah. So I guess it's better to start from visuals, and then the technical stuff will get to you eventually.
So I have a question for you, as a lead VFX artist. Do you look it through applications? Like if the company is hiring new people, do they run the applications through you? And what is your criteria for people who are applying?
Not anymore. Unfortunately, I'm not doing that since the company had some restructurizations and the change of the process. So I'm not really there anymore. But when I did, of course, the main thing that we were trying to look for in resumes and in portfolios is how how good this candidate can basically convey a story, how good he is with some basic principles of animation, how dynamic his effects are, how close
What do you mean by
is.
dynamic?
When we are talking about mobile gaming, in our case, it's match-3 games, where it's a lot of repetitive motion, a lot of same stuff over and over and over again. You should really have that grasp for dynamic, for the flow of the game, so it doesn't feel
repetitive,
stale, repetitive, boring. So it could be exciting, and every time you make you have an explosion, which you have seen hundreds of times already. It just brings you joy over and over again. If this person, which have his portfolio or her portfolio, shows that he can understand how the story which he shows is interesting, is not slow, is not boring. So it's already a great sign that he can analyze the current style of the game, and he can adapt to that basically without someone having to waste a lot of time explaining it from the 0 point. That's a really good start for them.
Yeah, so the first thing you would look into is does this make sense? Does this where did this explosion come from? If it came from nowhere, which story is it telling? Where was I supposed to know that it was coming from nowhere? Is it intentional that it's coming from nowhere? What is the scale of that, right? So there's also that aspect sometimes. those are like the foundations and the fundamentals
Yeah,
of
sure.
effects. But I guess, what is your advice to people who are having maybe a mid-level or entry-level portfolio? They're afraid of applying because maybe there's just one thing on the application that says that they need to be able to script, that they just don't apply. What do you say to people that are afraid of applying?
You should anyway. Always try. Always always take the chance that you see, and maybe this will work out. Because if you lack one aspect of the job description, of the role description which you are seeing, it's not a problem really if you are able to convey other skills, if you are just enough for the team to give you some resources for you to get better. So it's I hope it's truthful for every company about which I'm talking about. But if you are hired already, they have the resource to teach you. They have the resource to onboard you. They'll be glad to help you to understand something that you may be lacking. And it's if it's not the case, then it's even better. If you can analyze like a game style yourself, if you can read the context which the project already gave you, like if you can look at art style, if you can look at dynamic which is already there. So we are not talking about startups where you can make anything from scratch and every decision would be yours. That's an entirely different story. Then congratulations, you can decide for yourself, and it's basically like a piece of candy. But if you are trying to get a job on an existing project, just try to analyze it, try to learn as much as you could about it without even having like internal documentation of the company that you would love to work in. Just look at this and try to understand how you could implement your work in it. And basically, it's the essence of what your employer wants you to do. He would love to see a person who can walk in and just say that I understand everything that I need to do. Just let me do it, and it will be okay.
Yeah, but that is like, again, back to the point of perfectionism. Like, what do you say to people who, in terms of like the perfect fit, maybe they wouldn't apply to a company, right? They would say, that one thing is not fitting in the sense of like my skills. Do you think perfectionism can go against the artist at one point?
Sure. I believe that perfectionism is almost always against the artist, unfortunately, because even if we are talking not about job application, but about building a portfolio, for example, as we have already spoken about, thinking that your work in mobile gaming may be lesser than work on real VFX and real games and like real industry. And while you are thinking that, you are basically continue to show nothing to the world. You have zero work which you are proud of because of those insecurity issues. And same goes for job applications. If you are still afraid of showing yourself as you are, because that's you are at your best for now. So what you can do and can show at your portfolio is the result that you can already have and already give to your employer. And why that's bad? That's best you can do for now. If you want to learn something new, learn. That would be even better. But don't restrict yourself with 100% compatibility for the job application that you're seeing. Just try. What's the worst thing that could happen? You will get a rejection. You will try again later. So please don't discourage yourself before you even try something that's really not productive.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so back to the bullet point questions. Like, how did you get into games generally, or VFX? How did that start?
Yeah, that was basically a funny story because my career pretty much resembled a straight line. I could say um, I went to university with a specialty of graphic design.
Cool.
I worked as a graphic designer for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I got bored because when you work in publishing office, it's same stuff over and over again. So
Yeah.
a year passes, and then another year starts, and then same calendars, same holidays. You should try and design some merchandise for. So it's not like I had the feeling that I've seen it all already after a couple of years. And I tried and get myself a job at a small studio as a 2D artist. But then since the degree at university was enough for that, I worked as 2D artist. I couldn't say that I was pretty good at drawing 2D art.
Okay.
And that's why I could say that when I lacked skill into the art on that standard on which this industry wanted me to have it, I didn't learn to love my routine as I've already advised you to do. I didn't follow this advice back then myself, so I didn't also feel that I'm making some interesting stuff, that I'm making an impact on the project. And I didn't leave the job. I was trying to learn very hard, but then an opportunity presented itself when the studio, it was very small, like a startup. It has my team was 10 people or so. We've reached that point in development where you would need VFX. And I was asked if I want to try and make VFX, and I agreed because when I learned at university, I loved working with abstract composition. That was my favorite thing.
Cool.
So VFX in that sense is very similar to what I did in university for several years. So I took this opportunity and I basically I opened YouTube and went from there. We worked in Unity back then. And cool. So also, I think that what helped me a lot with this was that my work, my learning had purpose. So it was immediate trial and error by trying to implement my VFX in the project. And I had immediate feedback why you should not do that, why it's better to do this. And visual aspect was on me, and the technical skill, as I've said, it just came gradually. And like that. Then I left the job because I was really overworked from trying to learn this all at once. And after that, I had an opportunity to have my job here and present company. And since then, for 6 years, I've been here. And I've continued to learn and grow. So I've came as middle artist, middle position, and I had an amazing mentor, which helped me a lot. I had a lot of feedback, which was and positive and negative, but it was very useful. So I'm really grateful for that. And since then, gradually, I became more and more skilled, I guess. I could say that, and I became a lead artist, and here I am today.
Yeah,
just doing the same stuff.
That's such an amazing story, and I think that's everybody's dream, right? Get paid and learn and earn. That's something I try to simulate with my streaming and with an idea of a school almost, where if you pay, for example, to get into a workshop, you get to work with 20 other students on one thing, and you get to maybe sell that in the asset store, and each one gets their fair share. I've tried to concept that idea. I really would like to release it in a year from now, because I feel like we are missing that in our industry. A lot of the ways that are, you get into the industry, I think they're disorganized on purpose almost. everybody has to make their own private projects,
Mm-hmm.
put thousands and thousands into their own education. There is no university path. If you're lucky, maybe you're in the Netherlands or whatever, in Sweden, where you could learn this in university, or in America, where you could learn this in university. But like places, third world country, you can forget about it. Like where I come from. So I arrived to Europe, and I couldn't use any of my education. Like I could not just jump into university and be like, all right, so I'm just gonna study, because like there's this whole wall of like the German language. Like although I would have loved to be an academic, I couldn't be an academic. I was forced to be whatever, right? So a self-learner, so to speak. So I spent thousands and thousands of euros on just like being able to learn on my own. But that's not only costly, then it's risky because you don't know if you're going to be good enough. And then you have to do your own personal projects without a mentor, right? This is all like super sketchy stuff. That's why a lot of people don't want to go that route. But I feel like it's our responsibility as visual effects artists to make it easier to make the education available, right? That's what I try to do with my streams. Like I basically go through a paid content and I document my process there. So even if you're from a third world country, like whatever it is, like Pakistan, India, like you cannot afford to buy a 700 euros workshop, because that would mean maybe 3 months salary. Well, you could just watch me go through it, even though it's not perfect, but you could still do that. But anyway, enough about me. I wanted to ask you yeah.
Sorry for. I just wanted to say that it's a great opportunity, and that's great that you do that. Because even if you are streaming some stuff that you have to pay for, it's not a guarantee that any person who will watch this will instantly know how to do this. They still should put in a lot of effort, a lot of work into this. So you give them a lot of opportunities which they otherwise would never have, and that's really amazing.
Or would be afraid to begin. Like they would be afraid to start because there's this course that is expensive. It's promising them everything. But they might be afraid or avoidant of that, or maybe just try to argue themselves out of like not doing it. Well, because my mom said so, and maybe she's right or whatever. But here's this guy who's like showing you everything step by step. Maybe you will get encouraged, like even to invest in yourself. You'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna take that course, or the other course that this school has. It is something. It actually helps. And only that is, I feel like, is actually helpful, to just show them that investing in your own self and failing. Like I keep all my failures. Like all my podcasts are basically not edited. The other day I got a comment like, "Are you deliberately looking into the camera?" I was like, "Yeah, I am," but I left it because I'll just keep my failures. I've made a promise to myself, because I was a perfectionist my whole life almost, to a level where I didn't start new things, because if I failed, I would like beat myself up. So the only way I saw this, that I need to overcome this, is by putting everything out there. Like here is this guy who had, like, literally, if you're wondering how to become a VFX artist, I started last year and I documented my process. It's all on there. If you really want to, and I landed a job like 4 months later. So like if you're really wondering how this is done, I could tell someone, hey, look, just watch my content. Like I've started from all zero.
Really
and
cool.
and landed a job, and I think I will continue to do that until the day I die, because it is just that helpful, not only for me but for other people. For me, it's helpful because I can go back to that stream and be like, okay, I remember getting stuck here, and now I'm stuck here again. What did I do? And then I would just like skip through until the solution and be like, okay, so this was like that, and this is what I needed to do. It's super helpful. Anyway, enough about me, damn it. Yes, so I wanted to ask you, like, what was your first personal project? Have you ever done one?
um, I think my personal projects, couple of first ones at least, were never about VFX.
Yeah.
So as I am from an artistical background, you could say, and since then I've been trying to build my portfolio not really for like getting a job, but for the sake of it, like for the sake of looking back one day and looking at what I've achieved, like where I've
Yeah.
been back then.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I feel like your streams are also really useful and for yourself too, because
Exactly.
you could look back and see how much you've grown since then. So just for the sake of this enjoyment, just for the sake of one day being proud of how many I've achieved. Maybe not many. I haven't thought about this back
Yeah.
then, but I've tried to like save this stuff and put it out there on ArtStation, for example,
Yeah.
just as to the artist, just as a hobbyist. And that was fun. And I got my likes and I got my interactions from the
Cool.
community. I got some feedback, and that really kept me going, besides just learning in
True.
university or at school or anywhere else. Just if you are just isolated in learning stuff, if you are not interacting with the community of
Yeah.
people who are in a similar position, that could be really tough. And you could be slowed down by multiple times, I believe. And
Yeah.
since then, I just had a habit of putting my work occasionally out there, and like I have half of my ArtStation portfolio dedicated to just drawings for fun.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pinpoint the exact moment where it could be called like my personal project, like the first one or the second one. So unfortunately, I couldn't answer your question precisely,
No
but
worries.
I think that's how it is.
I think
And
a lot of people don't do it for fun, and that's where the aspect
mhm.
becomes very stressful. I think to make your own personal project, at least for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could also prevent you from starting new things,
True.
because you are always in the mindset of what would I gain from this? Will
Yep.
I get a job? Will
Mm-hmm.
I get better
Yep.
skills, which could be paid? And this always stops you from just enjoying yourself, from having fun, from creating something just for the sake of it. And
Yeah.
it shouldn't be like this, I believe.
Yeah, it's very transactional if you think about it. Like even
Mhm.
with networking and socializing, that like the main rule is don't network with someone just because you want something out of
Mhm.
them, right? Like network with people who are generally like think that you might have a good conversation with and just like learn something from. And not just purely transactional of the sense of like oh, that's a good lead and I could land whatever, this and that, this job and this job. But like that becomes very fake very fast, I think. But yeah, I want to go to the next question, which is how did your background shape your work, meaning the 2D background?
So, as I have said, I believe that this helped me a lot in finding interest in VFX
Mm-hmm.
at first, because a lot what you do at creating effects is comparable with like abstract composition, with like abstract art, and a lot of skills that you've acquired while getting an education could be useful there. It's not necessary to get an education, not at all. So as we've spoken about, like courses or like being self-taught, that's perfectly fine if you're ready to analyze what you are doing and you're ready to like, think about why you're making those decisions regarding like visuals or effects. But in my case, it was a privilege of sorts just to have this experience built up already, which helped me immensely just to make some decisions regarding my effects. Why I wanted that intensity, why I wanted that shape, why
Mm-hmm.
I'm using those textures,
Mm.
why I should make like my own, some new ones,
Mm.
or why should I use old existing ones. So these are tiny details which you become very passionate about. You're having strong opinions about tiniest textures when you have some artistic background, because you have some argumentation of why are they useful for your project or not. So I'm going into little details maybe, but it's just how it is basically. So the whole experience gets built up from like tiniest decisions and tiniest details, and that's where your experience could be very helpful.
I think abstract composition is used a lot in comics and mangas, right? With like the SFX drawings that they show, or the background sometimes, where even in animes sometimes, like when the character is ashamed, then you see those spirals behind them, right? And if the character is angry, you see the spikes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they convey the character, they convey the message without showing like any real form. So it's like beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is like such a great skill to have in terms of visual effects, because yeah, like you said, you're nitpicking the textures, you're nitpicking the form, the composition, but it makes sense since you don't have much tools to work with in a mobile game engine, that you have that abstraction in mind, because a spiky texture or a spiky shape could mean something entirely than like the wobbly stuff that I have in the background here, right? This in the background could mean more anxiety kind of like feeling, right? But like spike could mean anger, and I just wanted to give examples on those textures so that the viewer or have like a picture of what you're nitpicking.
Well, as you've started to say, that's a perfectly good example. I think when you are talking about spiky shapes, you are probably thinking about like more angry energy, like aggressive vibe, something that's fast, something that's doesn't have a lot of presence on the scene. It just flashes and it's gone, because it's all about speed. So it gives a certain vibe which you can read even if you don't have an education, even if you are just a spectator, if you are just a player, and you still can understand what I am trying to tell you as a VFX artist, even if you're just looking at abstract shapes, at lines and splashes. Since they are like more soft or more sharp, or they are like thin and thick, so it's a whole language which can communicate with you without you even knowing about this, just with symbols and like universal meaning, which is for all people in the world, it's more or less the same. So they will understand you better without you even saying a single word.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like sometimes it's not only the spiky shapes that means aggression. Like if you look at a tornado, a drawing of a tornado is still violent, but that's what fascinates me, right? It's still smooth shapes. Like if you think about it, it's simulating wind, but it's still aggressive in the sense like, oh, I better get the hell out of here. I don't know what it is about tornadoes that makes me like question composition as a concept completely.
Well, maybe if you are talking about like real life tornadoes, or like VFX tornadoes, which have already
like
stylized by someone.
Yeah, but like both have rounded shapes if you think about it, but yet they, like, if you see a tornado even in real life or in a game, you'll be like, I better run away, right?
Yeah, that's true. But maybe the reason is that VFX exists not only as a stable picture, as a static picture. It also has dynamic, like we spoke in the beginning of our podcast, because dynamic can also be aggressive. Even you have smoother shapes, so they are like lying to you in a way. They like are trying to look kind and smooth and calm, and you have a dynamic which doesn't agree with that, which doesn't rhyme. You are thinking like on subconscious level, even that something's not right. I better get out of this. So that's also like.
Speaking of like the abstraction, there's a really good book. I'm not sure if you read it. It's called How to Understand Comics. Do you know it?
No, I haven't read it, but I will.
Okay,
Thank
that
you.
is a must actually for a lot of people. I wish I can show this. Wait, I'm gonna try to show this, but keep going. I'll try to do the technical stuff. Keep going. I'm hearing you.
Yeah, but what we're talking about basically.
We were talking about the dynamic of the effects and how the tornadoes are, even though they're around it, they're still communicating danger. We're still in the topic of abstraction, basically.
Yeah. Thank you. So basically, I was trying to say that when it comes to VFX, it's not always could be boiled down to just the theory of like abstract composition or what they taught you in school or university. It's just a universal vibe which you can have a grasp of. Yeah,
so here it is. I'm showing it.
stuff.
So in this book, he kind of breaks down like shapes, and I'm just gonna make it a bit bigger for the viewer here. So here, you see this triangle, right? And it is on the right, it says meaning. On the left, it says reality. And on the top, it says the picture plane. So this is like a spectrum. This is like a triangle. And basically, he says comics lay between the meaning and the reality. Reality mean like if you're an artist and you can copy reality like one-to-one, then that is the aspect of reality here. Like it's the pure real picture. Then anything between reality and meaning and is basically let me try to explain it a little bit better. So on the right there is meaning. Meaning is literally the letters. So A, B, C, or the Arabic letters or whatever. And his theory is that like in the ancient Egypt, they had pictures as language, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they laid between the reality and the meaning. So they literally used to communicate using comics, right? And the one above is literally the basic shape. So you have, the sphere, the triangles, the circle, the triangle, the cube, or the quadrant, or whatever it's called. And stylization goes from these three aspects, and he shows like in this spectrum how like you see that face on the right where there's face next to it. He literally wrote face in the meaning here because that would be face, right? A bit to the left, and it's literally just the 2 points of the eye and the mouth. And then if you keep going left, you see like Mickey Mouse, you see like anime, manga, and then it gets more realistic all the way to hyper realistic. But if you go upwards, you see how like Picasso, if you see that one beneath the circles, it's basically Picasso. His style lays between the meaning and reality and the picture plane. And if you look at Picasso's early work, it was like super realistic. Yeah. So he mastered realism, and he was able to shift between. I think he was one of the early artists that was able to like put his style in this area here, which is like very weird. You still kind of get that it's a face, but it's also just shapes. So that was strong. And I think like if you think about VFX, some are hyper realistic, some are extremely realistic, like the Unreal Engine stuff. But then you have the effects that simulate this comic, like wow or like bam. Those SFX, they lay more in the meaning. And then you have the shapes, which I think mobile games use a lot. Anyway, I just wanted to show this.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing, really, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. This scheme is very useful. And also, I could probably add, you could stop me if I go too much into details, because I enjoy talking about this. Yes. But if we are in the realm of meaning, where you have shown us just words, which are written just like letters, they are also able to convey different message just by choosing the different font.
Yeah, you can see it here. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Same word splash. If you write it in different lettering, in different style of lettering, it could convey an entirely different
Totally.
vibe and entirely different message. So the possibilities are endless, really.
Yeah.
Even if you, as a VFX artist, um, is constrained. Sorry, I forgot the word.
Limited.
Is limited only to simple shapes. Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to say. If you are limited only to using simple shapes like soft dot or like star, like some sparkle, you can still make and say a lot of with them just by how you make them move or how you make them feel.
But then, you have the aspect of animation on top of that, and then the aspect of placement. Where is this sparkle at,
the
and
context,
for how long, right? And then the color theory on top of it. Like, red means crazy, red means anger, red means, what else is there? Red, I forgot. But you know what I mean.
It could be hot.
Hot,
it could
yeah,
be temperature, something like that.
Exactly. Blue means cold. Blue means snow, or what else blue can convey?
It could be calm. It could be healing. What you would like to do.
Or sci-fi. Sci-fi's use blue. Lasers, right? Star Wars uses a lot of blue. Then you add the color theory on top of that, and you have this mixed layer of like what visual effects can be. So just a message to mobile VFX artists: what you're doing is very delicate. You are not less. You're doing more with less.
Yes, he's very right.
Yeah.
Please remember that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put that as the trailer headline there. Okay, so let's go. We're still in learning and skills. So the next thing is like, what resources have helped you beyond like mentors that no one maybe can have access to? But I'm talking about stuff that people can have access to, and they can learn today.
So the basic answer, the shortest answer, could always be like open source courses, like YouTube, like some forums which are free. Yeah, so you don't have to like pay money or make some exceptional effort just to start. You could always just download the agent and just start from that. So in that way, it's like great that we have all the sources. That's basically how I've started my journey in VFX. I just opened YouTube and learned the UI basically, and then went from there. But if you are already past that stage, if you are trying to learn something more than the basic stuff, I could always advise that you find some context for yourself. So I'll elaborate on that. Of course, if you don't have the job and you don't have context of the project, which is already there, which exists, which was drawn by artists, like programmed to work a certain way, just thought about by game designers, it's like another story. It's like a privilege to have that. But if you are finding yourself before this like clean sheet of paper, like it could be very difficult with the clean space, clean project, with nothing to make some decisions which could make your life easier in a sense of learning. So try to find some context which you are interested in. For example, you could try to make fan art of some work which you enjoy. You could try and find don't know, some form of media which you would love to make your effects for. Not in a sense of getting a job necessarily, but in a sense that you can analyze that style and you could make some decisions based on what exists already. For example, you could take some anime and make like VFX based on the attack, like how many Razengans from Naruto have been seen on YouTube already. That's a great way to learn. That's a great way to start, to wrap your head around a lot of small details in technical stuff when you are not obligated to think about art style from scratch, about creating it from zero, so you could rely on something before you could make your own rules and fantasize about what you would like to convey as an artist, for example. So returning to the question, there are a lot of sources which already exist, but don't make yourself stuck just in them. Just in your head, you could make a lot of this analyzing and this decision making, which could help you immensely, even if you don't have mentors. Of course, if you have someone to not even just to receive feedback from, just to request feedback, but to discuss this with, you could find yourself solving a lot of problems which you have just by discussing them with anyone who is willing to listen, basically. So the community is very important also. So unfortunately, I don't have like an exact answer. Do this and look at this and read this, and you will have all the skill that you need. But the bright side, you could make anything basically useful for you.
Oh, that's dark for me. That's very dark. That's not bright, because I need limitations. I need someone to tell me, hey, you do this, and I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna do this. And the reason I'm saying that, because like I feel, and I've said that on the podcast before, like we are raised in a very rigid system. Like family can, a lot of people are born in a family where the dad or the mom has the final say, and they tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Then you go to school, they tell you also the same. Then you go to university, they tell you the same. Then you go to the job, you do the same. And same thing with the creativity. Sometimes, at least for me, as someone who had to be told what to do, I find it very difficult to navigate freedom. I don't know what to do with if there's no specific thing to do, right? So art jams can be helpful. What else? Challenges for some people, but I hate the competitiveness of challenges. I wish there were art jams, just artist jamming, like more like an art jam, less of a game jam. I think that would be cool as a concept. Maybe I should start that. I wanted to show you one more picture, by the way. All right, so where is it now? Oh, it completely... Whoops. All right, we need to reset the transforms on those. Now I'm entering the streaming mode. But if you had something to say about what I just said, go ahead until I fix this.
I just wanted to add that that's exactly the problem that you've communicated here, that can be solved, but by maybe making your own restrictions. Like you said, that challenges help because they can simulate having a deadline. That's why they're so fun when you are trying to like make a lot of effects while just effect a day or something like that. So since you have that fear of freedom, just try to remove those obstacles which are problematic for you. Just if you don't know what to do, try making fan art just for the sake of it, just for enjoyment. Then maybe those constraints of art style, of story, of something existing already will help you on your way. And then you can like move more freely when you are getting grasp of what you like and what you don't.
And like every person has their own like thing, right? Like for me, it was streaming, attending courses, attending workshops, showing my progress, because that thing helps me. I like to show them like the work that I worked on within constraints, right? So I'm going to show you the picture, actually. So this is a better explanation of this theory from him in the book. So the right side, like we said, is literally written words. And you could see as you go up into the abstraction of shapes, how the letters are literally changing. You see, like it becomes less and less readable. Like a signature would be closer to shapes, right? And then the more you go up, the more like it becomes vague. And also like the faces on the spectrum, the first one on the left, down left, is like super realistic. And then it goes back to like the face we draw when we were kids. Or as it goes up, for example, it becomes more like a logo. Do you see those
Yeah,
shapes
it's a
there?
concept of a face and the
Yeah,
concept of a letter, and yeah,
I love this
just
stuff. I
it's
love
just
this stuff. And here he
yeah.
has like examples as a comic, and he puts his own style. He narrates the book, by the way. It's super smart. So you can see like on the left, super hyper realistic, and then it becomes more like an anime, manga anime, and then his style, and then even, and then the stick figure. Yeah, it's super cool, that book. I can recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I'm totally reading it, and if you could put it in the description for the video if it comes out eventually, that would be very helpful. I
Yes,
think
yes, definitely.
all
It's
people should
called
read this.
and Understanding Comics: The Invisible Art by Scott McCloud. Yeah, he's pretty great. I think he did another book as well. But anyway, I'm gonna go back to the questions. Yeah, so like on the topics of learning, like how do you keep on improving your skills?
Maybe I would be repeating myself if I'm answering that question, but as I've said, the best thing that you can do while trying to improve in what you are doing is love what you are doing full time. If you have a full time job, if it's not even the best position in which you would like to be, if it's not like your dream job, if you are dreaming of making something bigger and better, you shouldn't still diminish your current position. You should make the most of it because it's your most consistent practice. You work 40
True.
hours a week.
Yeah.
You think about this constantly, and if you can find something which interesting personally for you in this job, not only like for your employer or for your project, which can be used in like in the story, which depends on the task that you've been given, but for yourself, like tiniest tweak of like some parameter, like some palette which you wanted to use, like some texture that you wanted to draw. Try and find some enjoyable details in your everyday work. Try and love your routine, and it will help you immensely to grow. Then you could look back at something that you've made like a year ago or 2 years ago and see, and maybe you'll hate it. And that's great because that means that since then you've grown already. When you're looking at your old projects and old work and think, I could do better, definitely that because you were trying all this time to think about it, to make it better, not just like not just work like a conveyor belt, just to making it over and over, the same and the same, just endlessly repeating yourself.
I think like because of the point where you mentioned that you might hate it when you look at it back again. I remember. So this is for people who are afraid of drawing or who are interested in learning drawing. There's a rule in drawing or illustrations, and that is you have to understand that your eye is way more skilled than your hand. Once you establish that connection and you accept that your eye is way better at recognizing stuff and flaws because you've seen more than you've drawn, then once you accept that, you could improve. Once you say, okay, my hand need to catch up to my eye, and I need to practice my hand. That's why a lot of artists, before they start drawing, they start doing lines, and they do circles, they do triangles and cylinders and perspective, because the hand needs literal like practice. That's why a lot of 2D artists actually tell you to stay away from graphic tablets when you're starting. Work on a huge piece of paper, draw freely, practice your hand with your shoulders, with everything, do the lines, do the circles. Once you've mastered that, then go into like something that is digital or do like a graphic tablet thing. And even when you buy a graphic tablet, the first thing they tell you, buy like a big one. It doesn't matter if it's a screen one or like buy a big one, because you, with the range of motion that you bring with like the whole arm, you can bring in details and it will add to your art even more than just like, working like this.
Yeah.
Because all what you can do is just add details like this. If you think about it, like what do you do like traditionally to like when you're drawing like this? You add details, and so a lot of artists get into that trap between like a lot of mentors into the tell them to zoom out, see the full picture, and then zoom in, like get the general shapes in first with the big picture, like zooming out, and then get into the details. Never go into details before like you've seen the bigger picture. Once everything is abstract, like you said, and constructed too. And I think VFX works in the same way. Just to go back to visual effects, that I find myself working with placeholder meshes, placeholder planes or textures, just placeholders. Once I've got the motion, when I zoom out, okay, there's an explosion. There's a shape of an explosion, but the timing is correct, everything is correct. That means I can even put it in the game so that it's a placeholder, and then I could exchange the textures going forward.
Yeah, it's as you've shown on the picture, it's like at first it's just a base. It's a concept of an effect. It's a concept of an explosion. It may have no textures, no meshes, nothing at all besides like dynamics and timings. And that would be enough for some stages. And then you can build up to it. True, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, work process. What does a typical day look like for you right now?
I think the most interesting aspect, which I can highlight in working on mobile games, in comparison to like other VFX stuff, is that we are a lot more limited with our time. I'm again in no position to speak about like other parts of the industry, but I believe that if you are making like bigger effects, more complex effects, you have at least several days for this. In our industry, when you have project which is released, which requires constant updates, which are scheduled already, which have like very strict deadlines, you can't go past them. Sometimes you find yourself in a position where you have like half a day to make an effect. Like half a day, just 4 hours max. And that's when you are forced, of course, to repurpose some of your decisions, some of your work. You reuse a lot. It's not like you build up every effect which you make from scratch. It's not a rule. You have like in one update, it's the specifics of the event which I'm working on. Of course, it's not true even like for the whole project where I work or the whole company where I work. So it's different depending on the team, depending on the product which you are developing. But for me, it's like that. And sometimes it's easy to fall in this like state where just everything is on fire. I must meet my deadlines. I will reuse my work. I'll make very similar effects to those which I've already did just to make it on time, just to give you something. But when you live in this schedule long enough, you calm down, and you still can find time to, as I said, to find joy in this, to invent something new, even if the majority of your effects for this event, for this update, are like reused, like maybe basic, maybe they could feel like this. So people are already seen this. So not showing originally new, but still like 20%. If you do something fresh, it's already a success, I guess. And in the end, if you can convey a story, if you can support narrative, if you can meet the deadline, if you can develop a product in time just for it to be released, that's the more important thing still, because even if I would love to have several days for each effect that I make, we would never release anything if I had that privilege. So yeah, that's where reality meets like my expectations and dreams. Unfortunately, so this industry is rather strict in that sense.
Yeah, I think games, like making games, is all about, or at least one aspect of making games and shipping them is that each one of the directors or of the team leads have a vision. It could be visual, it could be the design aspect of the game. They have that one picture of what the game is going to be, but I think every game maybe reaches 40% of that. Or if you're lucky, 60% of that. And good games, in my opinion, are those that reached more percentage of that. And this comes with like great production, like great producers and great leads. And speaking of leads, so we talked about your typical day as a creator, like as a visual effects artist. Where does your lead here play a role?
Yeah. So as we've been speaking, that depends on the time of which we're talking, because there was like period of time when I had a team of like 5 people and to whom I gave feedback to, and I controlled like the overall vision of the effects which this team was making. There were times when I was alone on this event as a lead. So I'm a lead with no team. So unfortunate, but that's how it is, I guess. And when you are in this position, when you have no people to give your direction, when you are not mentoring anyone, you are still can be considered like a leading artist or a senior in that sense. When the whole task which you are working on is like make this event. So basically, I have a very little instructions, specific instructions of what this update should look like, because we've worked with the team long enough for me to know what they are expecting from me. What quality, what amount of effects, where we
how
can
long?
how long should they last, where we could cut costs maybe if we are meeting some unexpected challenges on the way. So since these decisions are basically made by me only, I'm the one man team of VFX in this like event on the project. Then it's like a responsibility which I take by making those decisions. That's why I'm comfortable calling myself a lead artist. That's because I'm responsible for this, basically.
Yeah, I get it. So next question that comes a lot with visual effects: how do you balance art and tech?
So basically, I think we've partially covered that before we talked about proprietary engines. Half of the effort is made for you already by the technical team.
Yeah.
They just threw everything away, which can constrain you in that sense. And in mobile gaming, I believe that's how it is, basically, because the visuals are much more important than the technical stuff. And since your VFX can work on low grade devices without any failure, if you don't have like problems with FPS or something like that, then basically you're good to go. There are levels of optimization which you can build on, like reusing your textures, for example, like looking out for the size of atlases which you are using, like all that stuff the same basically for the whole industry. But the end game is just for your effects to look nice enough and to be light enough to work on the lowest of devices. Basically, there's that.
Yeah, and also with mobiles, that there's this aspect of like the end product, the app that they have to install must not exceed a certain megabytes or gigabytes sometimes. That is something that is not as present with like, let's say, the AAA game or the PC platform, right? So all your textures need to be compressed. You might not be able to use alpha, meaning no PNGs, just JPEGs. Is that is that something that you have to face? And what type of tools do you use to go beyond that limitation?
Yeah, it's justifiable for some projects, but we use pinges freely. We just trying to look up um, for the size of them. We don't. Oh, there's a cat.
Yes.
So cute. We are trying to use textures which are much smaller than you would expect when you are building something like for your PC or like for the console. That's not like 512 by 512. We work like 64 by 64, basically. That's the standard. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my god. What do
So
you go
like
like
it's
pixel
trying
art, or what how do you?
No, just if you try this, you'll happen to find out that these minuscule textures, they uh, scale quite.
True.
They could be scaled quite a lot.
Yeah.
So if you are using the texture like 64 by 64 pixels, you can still enhance it by like 5 times, 10 times. And if
Really?
compression
Okay.
is done right, yeah,
Yeah.
it's no problem basically.
Interesting.
Of course, if you need something that covers up your whole screen, then you can like go up
Yeah.
to like 128 by 128, but
Yeah.
it's enough.
Yeah.
Basically, it's enough. So you don't really need to have like all this giant texture just for the sake of it. You just work with what you have,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say like effects that you can't do? You could do in Unreal, like distortion effects, like heat haze, right? Can you do the same in mobile, or is it like tricks that you have to use?
Um, I think there's a difference between you might do that. If you can do that, if you know what I mean, if you
Yeah.
are able to
Yeah.
code, if
Yeah.
you understand how to write your own shader, because
Yes.
so in our engine we don't have like a tool for building it from like a visual programming
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nodes and stuff.
HLSL probably, right? Do you use HLSL?
Probably. I
Yeah.
don't code
Okay.
really,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
It's fine.
I'm trying to learn, but yeah, I'm bad at it. So, visual programming like blueprints, my comfort zone, and
Yeah.
because of that, I've never really was able to learn how to make shaders like in your notepad,
Yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah.
when
But
you open and
here's a
write it.
question: how many times did you see yourself going to like the tech team and asking them, like, "Hey, can we get this and that?" Did that ever happen?
Yeah, that totally happened. We even had the pipeline where I came to like lead programmer in my team and showed him something that I came up with in shader graph in Unreal, for example, and he replicated it by writing it in like right structure just by programming it from scratch
Interesting.
basically. But
Cool.
he had like reference which I built for him, but it's quite rare
Yeah.
because when you care for optimization, you don't really need so much shaders for your effects. So again, like we talked about, we've covered a lot of questions
Yeah. Yeah.
basically
Yeah. Yeah.
in that conversation, but um, you work basically with particle systems mainly. 99% of the time you work with them,
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
you just throw in quads all over the place, and
Yep.
that's how you make an effect. So
Yeah.
you don't really need a distortion, a scrolling, a UV distortion like on a mesh because you have no mesh.
There's
You
no
have
mesh.
quads.
Yeah.
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 Um, you could ask for that, but
Okay. Yeah.
also, yeah,
Yeah.
there's no need in that,
So
basically,
we
most
talked
of the
about the
time.
next
Yeah.
question in the beginning, but you said you want to answer it differently. So let's talk about it a little bit. How do you think, or what do you think about AAA versus indie?
Yeah, that's where I wanted to state that it's not the AAA versus indie that I am most comfortable to talk about or to judge, but uh, I would like to remind you that mobile gaming is there too, basically. So when you're trying to find a job, if VFX is something that you enjoy, just maybe consider go on that path, because if you don't have prejudice against the smaller projects, the smaller effects, they
Yeah.
can be really fun.
Yeah.
And it's not like some weird cult I'm trying to make you come into, but to join. But we have fun, I promise.
I promise. We're
Yeah,
valid. Cool.
yeah.
So which companies would you say are AAA or like game studios that are AAA in the mobile games field?
You mean which companies I consider like the biggest in the mobile gaming
Yeah,
industry?
because that is huge, right? Mobile, like
Hmm.
it's not a
Yeah.
not something to be underestimated.
It's something that I have never thought about before I started working in this industry. Yeah, I've never realized how huge it is,
Yeah.
basically. But if we're talking about giants
Mm.
of the industry, those are, I believe it's my company, it's Playrix. It's large enough to like be a considerable
Cool.
player on the market. It's King. I believe it's Tencent has several companies under its publishing, which are making mobile games also.
Yeah.
Uh, so, like three of them, maybe top three, which I can like from the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
remember, yeah. You've probably heard about projects that they are doing anyway, because Candy Crush, who hadn't heard of
Of
Candy Crush?
course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a big one.
sure. Uh, our projects and I will not go into details. If it's important, I'll send the links of like examples, maybe. But
We
like
will put the
that's
links
that.
definitely,
Yeah,
but I feel like the mobile game industry is only growing bigger, and I think it's one of the most profitable industries, even when it comes to games. It's the most profitable genres because of like the microtransactions and all type of. If you think about it, every young person has a iPad or a tablet, and you're basically just convincing their dads and moms to buy them stuff.
yeah.
That's your job.
Uh, yes, I do that. Uh, Yeah, it's true, really. I'm not sure if it's bigger of a capitalization than like AAA games, more maybe indie market, but it totally has its share on the
Mm-hmm.
market. The profits are mm, noticeable.
Yeah, it
Let's say
is.
that.
It
Yeah,
is. It is definitely noticeable. So much so that Apple had to shift, like their
yeah,
focus on more games and bigger processors, and like we see the M1 like a couple of years ago with the iPad. Uh, Great processors, right? Like can do graphics, can do really good like CPU performance, but they're still not utilized. Like there are still not so many games that you can play on the App Store that could utilize their power to the maximum. So I feel like it's also it you make a lot of money with mobile games, but it's also underexplored. Like almost as if we need more funding in that direction and we need more education in that direction. Does that make sense? Like we need to teach more devs, future devs, more artists how to get yourself in the mobile industry. Because like if the way you're talking, right, you're saying we feel like isolated, like as a mobile
Mhm.
VFX artists. And I'm like, why? Why you still make games? Like games can be on mobile or can be on the Nintendo 64 or PlayStation 1 or even without any device. They could be just football and basketball or whatever.
Sure. So I think it can be connected to like having limited tools,
Mm.
not thinking that what you're making is portfolio worthy, or that maybe being afraid of some judgment from like community that you don't make like serious effects. But it's
Yeah.
all just self-consciousness. It's not like a real existing problem. It's just all
So
in your head, basically.
what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to
Mhm.
get to is that you do not, as a beginner, you do not get that. You might land a job in the mobile industry or mobile gaming industry. But that is never really, as a visual effect artist, never really is the aspiration to begin with, right? Like there's no path for that.
Yeah.
It's considered something you learn on the job if you got a job in the mobiles, and it's like no, that's its own path almost, right? Like you have to learn the tools properly. Um, like if you're developing for mobile VR, that's a whole different beast than just mobile, right? And then you have the PC stuff, and like all of this stuff. Like I don't feel that we are very much taught properly about, or there's not much content about that stuff yet. I feel like we're lacking that. And the industry itself should invest in that, honestly. Like
Yeah,
the mobile
totally agree with
gaming
that.
industry should put money into educating so that more upcoming games or upcoming artists know how to deal with the stuff instead of wasting, I don't know, 3 months of the production anyway just teaching the people how to do it, because there's no content out there that teaches them.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's really a topic which I was hoping to cover in our conversation, because I believe, regardless of if we are covering the most of the technical aspects, like you've said, nobody teaches juniors how to make mobile effects or like specifics of mobile gaming. Regardless of that, we, as industry as a whole, we would need to bring back the culture of teaching, of mentoring, because from my perspective, from what I'm seeing on the job being here, it was so much more a couple years ago. So we had like paid internships. We had developed courses for people to like get into VFX for our company, for our style specifically. We've been mentoring people. We've been hiring juniors, and half of that by now is unfortunately gone. Of course, there are reasons for why businesses make their decisions, why they cut corners, but if I understand those reasons, that doesn't mean that I agree with them, basically, because that's really sad that we cut the half of like teaching and mentoring and growing people stuff, which we already had. So while we are talking that as an industry, we need to make more effort in educating people, I think also that it would be great just to bring back what we had already not so long ago. That would be so much better, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned what we had before. What exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, by that I mean that I'm knowledgeable mostly of what is happening in my company, since I haven't transitioned and switched jobs so much like in my career path. So this position, while working for 6 years on the same place, just gives me kind of an insight on what's been happening and what's been changed in like a way one certain company does like it's treats its processes of working and educating people. And like I remember when we, like several lead artists, participated in like initiatives for educating more people, for hiring more junior positions, just because we had we were willing and we had the resources to teach them on the job, on the spot, just to give them that opportunity. And unfortunately, the whole industry and like the whole world, like it's a rather dark place where nobody like is willing to make this effort anymore. I think so. Companies and businesses are trying to cut corners where they are able to, and that's also the reason I believe why senior roles and the leading roles are so similar nowadays, because myself, I work more like a senior without having a team now. So we've talked about my role as a lead, but just the line isn't there. The difference like is non-existent anymore, because as a lead, you should be making like everything, like for one single team, and because it is expected, like from almost everyone who work in industry right now. There are not really a place for hiring juniors anymore, for raising middle specialists anymore, and it's very sad. So I'm like making some generalizations. Of course, I'm not sure if it's done like everywhere, but from what I see, it's rather sad, because like all those initiatives, they existed. They were there. There were people who were willing to make this effort, and for now they focused more on like making tasks and producing some content, rather than teaching other people and growing them.
Yeah, I think it's a complex topic, right? Because you have money involved, you have time
Yeah,
involved, you have survival involved, also from the perspectives of companies. And I'm not talking
sure.
about AAA, like huge studios that are laying off a lot of people. Nah,
Mhm.
that's not so interesting for me to talk about, because I feel as much as it hit AAA and like people who work on AAA, which sadly they lost their jobs. I think it hit also small studios that are just barely surviving, and they were like, we talk about there's money in mobile games and whatever, but that's also a super competitive, like
Yeah,
ultra competitive field that
true.
a lot of people fear to even touch it, because if you don't know what you're doing, that's a whole different beast. It's not a Steam. It's not it's I'm not saying Steam is easy, but I'm saying that everything involved with mobile development is specific. You need to
Yeah,
know what you're doing. Even as a visual artist, you need to know what you're doing. If your effect cannot be used, if it's not optimized, it cannot be used. You just wasted 2 weeks of production. So you kind of need to know. You need to go beforehand knowing what you're doing, and that's a tougher field even to bring juniors in, right?
true. Because even when we are discussing how effects themselves are simpler and maybe easier to learn how to develop them, how to build them, you still, as you have rightfully said, that you still should be able, at this point of industry, at this state of industry, you should be like um, really know what you're doing. Basically, I'm repeating your words. Sorry,
No worries.
but it's how it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should be responsible for all these decisions which you're making. You can't afford to like just waste time on the research, on like trial and error.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you are in if you work in a project that has already been released. If you are just in the development stage, that may be different, but like if you are on a deadline, it's like this basically.
So the thing is, like, if it is a huge risk for smaller studios, I feel like, to hire someone. I feel like it's almost of a duty. I feel from my end, like as an artist, that I should shift into freelancing and
Mhm.
exploring contracts instead of just being hired in one company forever and ever and ever, which I think is a concept that will not exist going forward, especially after what we've seen. I think this will make the entry for game development jobs even harder, because you have to research what freelancing is, what are the rates. We have to unionize almost to like not
Yeah,
do each other a disservice by offering less. Well, we should be offering more. That's a tougher field to go in. But I do feel like then as the currently the state is asking for that necessity. Like, okay, where are the freelancers at? Where are all the freelancers? We need to hire freelancers. We can't commit to monthly salary forever and ever and ever, because the industry is also not committing to us. They can't give us free money, right? So speaking of freelancing, do you have friends maybe that, or just connections that you heard they switched to freelancing, and where do you see that going?
So in terms of what we've just discussed about mobile gaming, I think it's true what you have said about not owing companies anything, since they are not willing to make an effort to like pay you constantly, to offer you like stability of some sort. Since layouts are happening, you are not obligated to like be in one company forever, and just they can't expect you to like be focused on just one company. But freelancing, I believe, has its pros and cons, since it can be very stressful. I believe you are constantly in the process of managing and looking for jobs, because none of the jobs are like permanent. It's all temporary. So I believe you might argue if it's easier than it seems, but to me, it's like almost scary how much of your resource you should always be reserving for like constantly looking for some contracts for like going to interviews. I'm not sure if there are interviews for freelancers nowadays, but I speak like an old lady. I don't know it nowadays, but yeah, I'm really not into this. But I've had this experience while I was working as a graphic designer, and that was tough. Even back there, that was tough. And from that experience, I can say that it gives you certain freedom. You can change projects whenever you like. If you don't like something, they can't offer you like no. Sorry, how would I say? They can offer you nothing which can make you to stay. Basically, if you don't like the basics, if you don't like the work that you're doing, that like conditions on what you're doing, that's what they're offering you. But just because of that, you should be so much more knowledgeable of so much more little things of different tools, So if you are sitting on one place, you are just like me, you need only to be knowledgeable of one proprietary engine, which not everybody even knows that it exists. So that's some job security, maybe. But for freelancer, you just need to know so much. So they totally have my respect. And unfortunately, then I can't offer any advice for them just from my place.
Yeah, no, of course, I understand. But it's interesting still. It's an interesting conversation to have, because I kind of wish, I have a like secret wish that a lot of artists know more about freelancing, or have experienced at least one freelancing contract. And here's the thing, freelancing does not mean that you always have to be a freelancer. But once you've got to understand what freelancing is, in the sense of, okay, what is the legality, how much taxes, when do I pay taxes, if I have to pay taxes, you get a lawyer, right? And all of those stuff, like a tax advisor, you can anytime be hired. That is not a problem, right? You can always switch, freeze your freelance, go and get hired, or whatever. The idea of freelancing is there are a lot of studios out there that cannot hire you. They cannot hire you. Literally, they don't have the money. But they say, all right, we have 50,000 here. We have a budget. We can probably have a VFX artist for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It's not ideal, but it's a good thing to be part of, especially if the people that you're gonna work with are amazing. Right, like amazing professionals that are known in the industry. They only do freelance. Are you gonna accept and look into freelancing, or are you gonna say no? You have to hire me forever, and they're gonna be like, okay, you're a lot of maintenance. Sorry, we're not gonna hire you. So the thing is, then the knowledge of freelancing, it seems scary, and it seems that you're getting stuck in it. But the fact is, you could always be hired. Like, but at least now you have 1+ project experience in your portfolio, and you're more flexible. If someone wants to come to you and be like, hey, we want you for 2 months, you could say, all right, I'm in, come in, which happens. Once you have that one project, once you have that 1 or 2 or 3 projects, you'll be known. People have worked with you, they will recommend you to other people, right? This is how it works. That's your capital. Your capital is people as a freelancer. The other aspect that I wish a lot of people know about freelancing is contract negotiations and freedom practicing. That is something I really despise about the industry when they hire people. They literally buy them out as freaking slaves. Like, you cannot, no. We hire you from this hour to this hour. You cannot breathe. You cannot do anything without our permission. You cannot be on a podcast without our permission. You cannot talk about the company. NDA this, NDA that. Cut his arm, cut his leg. You can't talk, cut his tongue. All in a contract where you can't even negotiate, because if you don't negotiate, they will just hire the other guy or the other gal, whatever. They will hire the next person. Everybody's so desperate to get in. Everybody don't know their rights and their freedoms because they've never been into freelancing. I'm not saying freelancing is amazing. You get to practice all your freedoms. But once you break it down to its core, I am hiring you for this task. Yes, correct. You pay me so and so. All right, cool. Maybe you pay me more. Maybe you pay me less. Whatever it is, right? I'm not gonna do this if you pay me so much. Then you can't expect me to do this. You can pay me more, and then you can expect me to do that. There's negotiation, right? There's no like an unwritten check with like it doesn't matter how much time you take unless you get it done, and then you end up working crunching your whole week, and then you end up burning out. And guess what, even after that, maybe you get your salary and maybe you don't get your salary, which is also the case with freelancing, but that's why you get informed about a lawyer, right, in case things like this happen. With the job that you get hired, I feel like if everybody's doing that, then we are having less and less leverage of negotiating. Because if more people did freelancing, in my opinion, we will learn how to negotiate, because we're forced to negotiate, right? And not everything becomes a given. Like, it's a given that you're gonna have to work on weekends. No, it's not a freaking given. It's a given that a VFX artist has to do X, Y, Z, and even after their job, they're expected to freaking get better and sign up with courses and workshops with their own money and improve on that. It's a given. No, it's not a freaking given, right? So I feel like if more people have done freelancing and have risked a little bit, the industry would become better. It's a healthy thing.
Totally agree with that. And listening with the whole process of getting a freelance job, I believe you are much more confident than like an abstract specialist, which had always worked as hired permanently, because you are able to rely on yourself. You know that you will find a job.
Absolutely.
That's no problem. That's like you've been there, you've done that already.
You have connections.
So it's not like
Yeah, people you worked with, they're gonna recommend you over again. And if they have a project and you want, because guess what, they're not just gonna die without like earning money. If a studio have hired you as a freelancer, they know that they can work with you pretty well. You're gonna get a call. It's like a roster, literally like a roster. You're gonna be called, and they're gonna tell you, hey, we have a project. It's gonna be 2 months long, and you're gonna be hired. And that is that. And the other cool thing about freelancing is, and I mentioned that before, but again, negotiating. You can ask for money. There is a budget. You can ask for money. You get paid once every 3 months. You get paid maybe once every 2 weeks. Whatever it is, you have to organize that yourself. But you have to also be smart about your money, because there will be an end, but it's a way healthier end for your own psyche, for the team, for your connections, for the bridges that you don't have to burn. When you all agree by this date, you give all your work, and then we say goodbye until next time. This is way healthier than a company coming to you and not telling you that they don't have money, but they come to you and tell you you're not good enough.
Yeah,
you're not a good person. Literally they come to you and they say you're not a good person. You're not a good person to work with. It's not working out. And it's just a bullshit reason, so you don't go to the other colleagues of yours who didn't get fired and tell them they don't have money. This really like every fiber of my being gets me in this, because it's like I am a person who hates lies. Like if you lie to me and I notice that you're lying to me, I hate it. Just tell me what it is. Tell me you don't have money, but they're probably not going to tell you that, right? Because it's bad for business. And then you have to do all this dance and weird stuff to, I don't know, to get a job or to keep your job. I don't want to do that. I would rather know my rights and hire a lawyer and a tax advisor because I can cut that off from my taxes. It's a huge freedom there. Yeah. Anyway, freelancing can recommend to anybody, even starters. If you're a student, whatever it is, get to know the roughness of being an independent artist and not being too dependent on a company or a tool. But there's also no shame in being hired. Like,
yeah, so it's I feel like it's very similar to the topic we've covered earlier, that freelance job or like making VFX in mobile gaming are maybe not very similar to what a certain person would expect when he dreams of like being hired and like he dreams of the job he always wanted. But it gives you a certain experience which can be very valuable. Like if we're talking about freelancing or we're talking about like mobile gaming industry, and it all has something to offer you just in experience, like experience-wise.
Yeah.
So
here's the next question. What needs to improve in education and hiring, in your opinion?
So since we partially covered that, I'll repeat myself a little and say that the culture of growing people from juniors and middles, in my opinion, should return as soon as possible, because that's what the future on the industry, I think, is standing on. Because if we only hire like seniors or lead artists and like principals, directors, and no people to grow them from inside the company, that's like one end ticket. So those people will finish their careers a couple of years further, like sooner or later they will retire, and you will have no one to go their path, because you've taught no one to be those specialists. Of course, I'm exaggerating when I'm telling that zero people will become seniors just because you don't teach them, but it's pretty much like a very bad trend that I see personally. And even if people are able to teach themselves, even if people will switch jobs and get promotion just from switching roles in some companies, you can grow like that. You don't have to sit like in one place and just expect to be promoted. It's all legit. But why cut so much possibilities for your company and for your team to be more diverse and more experienced and more skilled in something that you do when you don't help people that already know your product and already know what you are expecting to get, like content? So why don't you help them to like be better, to grow within the company? So that's there's a strong opinion about it.
Yes. Yeah, me too. And there's like this high expectations of like what a junior should be, and I've seen this trend, this disgusting trend of like even on LinkedIn, I've seen an 80 level post. I don't hate 80 level. I also don't amazingly love them. But they've posted this amazing effect that is just great looking, right? You know that the person who made this is not a junior. And they literally titled it as, oh, look at this amazing effect from this junior VFX artist. I'm like, I literally wrote a comment. I was like, the industry cannot expect juniors to be that good. That is not a junior artist. And it got like to the first comment, right? Because everybody liked it. And I'm like, who is driving this BS? Which companies are funding those posts to like put them out there so I, as a VFX artist, think I'm not good enough and I have to work and crunch on my own free time and on my own money to get better so they can hire me as a junior like I'm a charity case? Go F yourself, like for real. And that's where I'm like, freelancing is amazing because no matter what skill you are, once you're hireable, your work is hireable, go for it. And it doesn't matter if it's a commitment for a month, if it's a commitment for 2 months, go for it. Because these assholes that are expecting you to be that good and you're a junior, they need someone to tell them to go fuck themselves. Seriously.
Yeah. And also that circles back to what we discussed about not being 100% compatible with job description, which you see. And forget about that. If you see that people with that level of skill can be called juniors, they are probably not matching job descriptions which exist nowadays in the industry, because job descriptions are crazy nowadays. So like,
job descriptions
are
more demanding than Tinder profiles. Seriously, like you have to be proficient in all the languages in the world, and you know, I've had HR friends that worked in HR, and they just told me like, this is what we do to filter people. There's way too many people that are applying, and our thing is like, how do we filter them out? We just put the literal perfect candidate, you know. We just, if we get it, we get it. Perfect, you know, and they're gonna be a junior and they're expected to know all of that. But the damage that leaves, you're like, you literally lose hope. It becomes a desperation. Like, honestly, if you don't have parents that you live with, you don't have to pay rent. If, you know, you have like money coming out of the whatever something you invested in, and you're just living out of that, how the heck are you expected to be in the industry? And also, how do we expect more diversity in the industry? Who the hell gonna be like, I don't know, diverse in the sense of like not coming from the West? That is just gonna be like, I'm gonna be a VFX artist now, and I'm gonna start, and in 2 years I'll find my way. Well, you can't, because unless, you know, you're living with your parents and you don't have to pay rent and you have money coming in to pay for the education alone, to get you advanced to a level where you could build a portfolio and to hire a mentor that will make your portfolio that good, what the industry is expecting you from you to be, you will not be hired. Which is sad. Yeah. It's just sad. And this needs to change. More people need to look into freelancing. Yeah. Sorry if I'm emphasizing my point too much.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's basically a great answer to the question you've asked, because if you are not a person which has most of the obstacles from real life removed from your path just to try and get in the industry, it's nearly impossible. And we as not we, but companies which hire people, make it even worse just for those who already are able to try. That's just not how it should be, I think. So,
and it's just so funny for me, like how I get I get people telling me, right, like, how dare you? This is obviously what you want as an artist. You're not keeping consideration of like the industry and the money. And I'm like, how dare you doing exactly the opposite, and just caring about your shareholder meeting by the end of the year that you can say 1% more. Wow, yay, 1% more. Let's screw everybody. Not just the ones that are in the industry, but also the ones that are coming in the industry, so that they're always on fear of losing their jobs or of not even getting a job. So they're so desperate. The moment we have an opening, we can abuse them with contracts and abuse them with payments and abuse them with whatever we want to abuse them with, because we are on the top. And that's, well, they should be glad that we're hiring them, because it's their dream job. And it's like, I tell everybody, look, whatever it takes to not make you desperate, do it. I don't care what it is. Is it money? Go work in a coffee shop. Seriously, don't be desperate in the games industry. Everybody is desperate. Everybody wants to keep their jobs, but it's just a job. Like, make it that you love it, and then seriously be a professional. Like, seriously be a professional, because it's not only on you, but it's also on everybody who's gonna come into the business and everybody who is already in the business. If you're not a professional and you're accepting, I'll give you an example. So, I'm not gonna mention the name of the company, right? But I get hired, right? Our I get accepted. I go to the studio, and they hire me as a generalist artist. Basically, they were like, "Oh, cool, this Syrian kid can do everything, right? He's a generalist artist. He can do probably rendering, game development, everything, right?" They consider me like this. So I go in the team. The team is completely ignoring me, right?
Oh.
Why are they ignoring me? So I started investigating, right? I started my Jack investigator mode, and I'd be like, I socialize with them a little bit. Sure enough, the lead comes to me and be like, okay, listen, we need to go to a room, right? And we go to a room, and they just start crying, and they're like, we have not been paid for 3 months, and right? And we're like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I have a kid and I don't know how to feed it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stay here. We give the boss an ultimatum if they don't pay us, blah blah blah, right? And I'm like, okay, that is weird AF, right? That was my first day. And then I go back in the room, and I ask them, like, you haven't been paid for 3 months? And they're like, yep. And I said, even you? And they're like, yep. And then I go to the other person and like, yep, we haven't been paid. And I was like, okay, so this guy or this person is expecting to hire 1 person and get rid of 3 or 4, right? And just be like, all right, this Syrian kid's gonna do the job of all those 4 others and gonna do it for way less. So I'm just gonna... This is like, if I was a complete selfish asshole, I would have stayed. I would be like, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever you want. I will do whatever you want. I'll clean your shoes too, right? But what I've done is I went to the person who I made the interview with, and I was like, listen, this is not right, and I'm leaving. And then I left. That's it. They called me a couple of times, didn't answer. I don't care. Pay your workers. Because what guarantees me this is not going to happen to me one day? Nothing.
Sure. Yeah.
And if I was like just looking up for myself, I would have been like, oh, please, 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 please. I'll stay here forever. But I've done what I had to do. And they probably still have their jobs. I'm not saying they're thankful for me. I'm saying I would not be the person, and this is within the AI age right now, that would go in a company and be like, yeah, well, I can do all your jobs because I can utilize AI to my favor, because I can put my models in AI and they steal your work anyway that you have on ArtStation or in Sketch, whatever it is, Sketchfab, whatever it's called, and I'm making the money now. I can do the job of 3 people. F you all, right? It's disgusting.
Yeah, a horror story, really. And truly, if they were expecting you to like make work for 3 people or 4 people for lesser pay, there was no guarantee that you would get any pay at all. That what like stopped them from expecting to make you all this for free.
This is such a nightmare, because like God knows what would have been in a contract of like liability, right? Like, well, if this person can't deliver, well, we're gonna sue them or something. Like, God knows what could have been in that contract. So it was like very sketchy, and like I had to go. Like, imagine if I everything negative could have happened if I stayed, and literally nothing but positive could have happened if I left. And I took the bullet, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave. And you know what? Next time, maybe if they hire someone, they might consider paying their freaking workers. And I don't care, I don't care if I don't get paid. I don't give a damn. But I can afford that. Other people can't afford that, right? So it's all about like, can you afford to do that or not? At the same time,
have that leverage, basically, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, if you don't do that, then the industry you're working in, you're making those people on the top feel just that much powerful. Like, and they will get away with anything. So it becomes a social issue, honestly. Like, that's the thing with desperation. Don't do anything that makes you less desperate. Whatever it is. If it's just the money, go get money somewhere else. Seriously. We don't need people in this industry that are desperate. This is a message to all juniors. I know you're desperate to get into the industry, but as a person, as a former desperate person who got advantage of, don't do that. You're gonna hate it. You are gonna hate it. So do whatever it takes, even if it's 1 more year of self-learning, finance yourself with a stupid job, and just focus on getting just that good. And getting a job or not, that shouldn't be the case, honestly. Only get a job when you can 100% say, and no one can do that, but only get a job when you can 100% say, I'm not desperate. And I can say no on an interview to anything they ask me. If you can find yourself negotiating in an interview, that's the right moment to be hired. Negotiate. Say no. Anyway, back to the diversity and culture. We still have like 4 questions. So I wanted to ask, what is your experience as a woman or minority in games, working in games?
So yeah, in my situation, I wouldn't say that I'm the minority. Like I work in the company that speaks my mother tongue and all that, and also I understand that this is not common. That it may be the privileged position, but as a woman, I don't feel the pay gap the same as I'm seeing the pay gap. Between different markets, let's say between Europe or like United States market or post-Soviet countries market. So the main difference is there. But for me personally, it haven't been an issue of pay gap between like men and women on same roles. Yeah, so nothing really I can contribute to this conversation except that I acknowledge that if the problem exists, and I hope it will get better, but just for me it worked out hopefully just fine. I just wish that pay gap between different markets will also even itself out, because there's a lot of like instability there.
Yeah. It's still sad to see the pay gap. Honestly, it's the dumbest thing I've ever
just
heard.
The fact it exists at all, it's shouldn't be like that.
I don't know why even people even argue about it. It's literally saying you are worth less if you have this genital. That's what it's saying.
Yeah, it's the same sick argument as you've mentioned. Just why are you standing up for yourself and you are making poor companies earn less in an hour than your entire life? How dare you to do that? It's very strange, because if you don't stand up for yourself, who will?
Yep.
No one, basically. Yeah. So
absolutely. The thing is, like, anybody would try. Like, that's what we need to understand, is that they will try. They will try. If you say nothing, they'll be like, all right, fine. Same thing with contracts.
You will be taken advantage of. Yeah, sure.
It's the same thing with the contracts. I bet there will be super horrible conditions for contracts coming up like next year or this year from AAA studios. There will be things that are written there, and if you don't check it and you don't see what exactly it is, just because you're like, I need a job, I love this studio, I love this studio, you need to stop being a fan and start being a professional.
Yeah.
You played the game? Cool. Nice. You enjoyed the game? Amazing. Okay, now be a professional. Like, seriously, check what's in the contract. If they're screwing you, they're screwing you. And please hire a lawyer. It's not that much. Maybe you pay 200 euros. But seriously, like, hire a lawyer. It's not a big of a deal. Because they will try. And when they try and you say nothing, it sucks. But to tell women to stand up for themselves, I feel like that's unfair, because women are constantly being put down, like, from anybody, from everybody, from all the industries, from everything in this world. So it's gonna be a little hard for them to stand up for themselves. But more encouragement, I guess, for both women, men, anybody, queer, refugee, whatever. Like, stand up for yourself. Yeah, even if you're a junior, stand up for yourself. Okay, how can studios create better environments, in your opinion?
Well, I guess a lot of what we've talked about is like inerts on itself, because we see a problem. I don't think you had any guests that have come here and said, like, that's all right. I don't see any problem with the industry. I like it how it is. I wouldn't change anything. So I think everybody acknowledges what's happening, but it's a question in itself if we have like leverage to change something at the moment. That would be great. But as I strongly believe that you, as an individual, should do what you are able to. Like if you are in a position of somewhat of a lead or senior VFX artist, for example, so you don't have to make some executive decisions on like a level of rule in the company, like, but you can try and make at least a community inside your company better. You can try and care for people who are less experienced. You can try and share some of your experience with them, some secrets, some best practices. Basically, it's what even maybe expected of you as like your job description. Maybe it's not, but if you put in that effort, maybe you can make somewhat of a difference, even if the whole industry is currently a really dark place. I like how we started from like simple shapes is fun, and I like making simple effects, and mobile gaming is fun, and now we're like everything is on fire. Oh my god! But yeah, it's unfortunately there's always two sides to it, and yeah, that's how it is.
I mean, that's the aspect that a lot of people, wanting to get work in games don't get to see, because all what they see is like the explosions and the fun parts of like a game, and they're like, oh, it would be super cool to work in a game, in a game studio or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it is super cool. It is really, 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 really cool, but it is really, 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 really stressful, and it can get very toxic very fast, like very fast. And I've been there. I've been in a toxic environment many, many, many times, and there's sometimes nothing that you can do. Sometimes you try hard and there's just nothing you can do, and you just have to accept it. And the worst of it all is transparency. When there is no transparency of what is going to happen to you and your job, you're screwed. And I feel like, to answer that question on my side, like, how can we create better environments? What I like about freelancing is you know exactly when the date of you not working is.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hate about hiring is you will never know that, but it exists. But no one will tell you when it is exactly. So there will be that time a month before you get fired, all of a sudden, no one is talking to you. Why? You start wondering. You start being afraid of your job. And the problem about that is, if this happens and it's without any reason, like someone just had a stressful day, oh, guess what? You will be stressed too, because you will constantly thinking about that. I just wish there was more transparency, even if it's a bad thing, in the sense of like, tell me when I'm gonna die. It's better than trying to guess when I'm gonna be killed. Like, tell me where it is so I can plan.
Yeah. It's basic respect, at least so people can prepare for this, even if they can change anything in the outcome, if they will be laid off or they will be fired for something. The honesty is like best practice, really. I agree.
Like, just tell me when the contract is gonna end, dude. Like, just tell me. Don't come to me and tell me, hey, it's not working out, man, with you. You talk too much. They use any aspect, right? Anything you've done, they make such a big deal out of it, and they're like, listen, man, it's not gonna work. What you wrote on Discord that day was not in our company culture, or whatever fucking BS, right? Like, you didn't do anything wrong, but they want you to think that you've done something wrong, so you can say, all right, they're right, I guess. I deserve to be whipped, and I deserve to be fired here. And it's like, no, you don't. You've done a great job. You've been a great artist, developer, whatever. But of course, it's not always the case. There's always a valid. It's a tough thing to navigate, indeed. But I feel like transparency is better in that situation.
Yeah, to know such cases exist is already very helpful. So even if you're lucky enough to never meet such conditions where like you're laid off for one day and you don't know what to do and you blame yourself, just be aware that shit happens, basically, and
like, stay vigilant. Like, it's also housekeeping. It's like, when you stay vigilant and you stand up for yourself, they're gonna think twice next time they're gonna try it with someone else. And that is really important for me, in anything. Like, if you're gonna find a job, or if it's as simple as like dating or whatever, like stand up for yourself. Next time, this person gonna have to think twice before they do and try that stupid thing. All right, we're reaching the end. I'm gonna go to the future. Like, all right, what do you advise newcomers that they should do?
So I think the main thought I want to highlight from all that we discussed already is like still try to find joy in what you're doing, because if you enjoy yourself, if you're making this not only for money, for your career growth, but for fun, it will always work out in the end, even if you will need several attempts, or you need to learn something along the way just to get a job, for example. The job is not the end game itself. The process, it's what the most valuable of it all, for me at least. So yeah, that would be my advice, maybe.
Yeah. All right. That's a great advice. Where do you think the industry is heading? Well, in the mobile game, of course.
To the light, I hope, to the better future. Let's leave it at that. Yeah, we'll see, and that's all we could do, basically.
I have a question for you. Like, is there
Sure.
conferences for just mobile games? Do you ever go to such conferences?
Not me personally. Never been to them.
Okay.
I've been like on events inside like my company. I'm very like alienated from all this stuff because I lived in Siberia for most of my life, and no conferences there, not much at least. So only after I've relocated, I've considered maybe going there, but never had the chance. So yeah, if you are able to go there and you're able to like meet new people, like see someone that you a fan of, maybe like some cool artist that you've been looking at on ArtStation and dreaming of meeting, that's always a great start. But if you can, that's not the end of the world, really. So you don't have to be like a brand of a person, like a single person company, to be always present in those conferences and those events. You can just exist like in online community, and you can take your share of knowledge there, and that's all right. So don't worry if you, as you said about courses, basically that require some money spending. If you don't have that, you can still get by. Yes, it wouldn't be as easy, maybe. Yes, some conferences and networking may cut corners for you, but not like entirely. It won't make your path that easier that you can achieve yourself. So yeah, don't worry about that, basically. I don't know. It was an advice to myself, I guess, since I've never been there.
Well, there will be people who are like you in the audience, and you never know. Maybe in 10 years from now, this is gonna stay forever out there online, right? Unless you ask for taking it down, there will be that one person like gonna be like, "All right, I listened to Valerie on the Generalists, and this sparked my career." And Jack is a total dumbass. All right, listen, it's been great having you on. It's 2 hours. That's one of the longest one I've ever done.
Well,
Wait, let's
thank
see.
you for having me.
Is it the longest? It is the longest. It is the longest. All right, listen. It's been great having you on. Is there anything that you would like to promote or say before we close this?
Not really. Just have fun, everyone. Just make your portfolios. Just make some cool effects. And that's all that matters, basically.
Yes, enjoy
thank
your
you for
craft.
listening for 2 hours. If you're still here, by the way.
If you're still here, thank you for listening. All right, just gonna pivot a little bit to the viewers. We're gonna talk still after this. Yeah, it's been us, me, and Valerie, Jack the Generalist, and Valerie. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a dislike and a comment to why you didn't like it. If you are uncomfortable with anything that's been said, please leave it down below so I can fight with you in the comments. Anyway, it's been great, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, bye. Bye, everyone.